Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today I want to bring you the overview of the monthly report for January 2017. It's quite a big one, so do get yourself a cup of tea and settle in. Anyway, in the LA office for engineering, they are hard at work at the modular character customization screen. They're making real progress towards the core systems that will allow us to have solar system sized maps and all the complicated components to come with it. They've continued work on the intelligent radar system. They saw the first technical application of the node-based controller managers. This opens the door to improving the network of item components and is the first real step towards multi-crew ship gameplay. And they've also added a new damage controller to bring things like explosive props and destroyable objects to the item system. In tech design, they are hard at work on new ships, Item 2.0 support and prototyping. The Buccaneer and the Cutlass Black hit the grey box. The Aurora update is going smoothly and really looking good. They have prototyped how players could interact with the world and its items, and also worked on ship balance and in-game pricing. On the art department, the Drake Buccaneer and the Aurora revamp has been wrapped up in grey box art, so it's now in final art. They're very busy creating concept art for a new Anvil ship. I think that might be the Hurricane. They've created new armor for the persistent universe, which was the Explorer suit, and the heavy marine armor available soon in Star Marine. We've seen both of these, I'll show you the pictures again. But they've continued creating new clothes for shops and building NPC outfits, which will soon be seen on various planets. On the tech content side, they are optimizing the FPS weapons, ensuring that the grips are universal for both the male and female characters. They have integrated the initial procedural environment system into the planet editor, which allows for spawning of outposts and buildings. They're making some important updates to the system and art for the Super Hornet, Mustangs, and many other ships. They've got lots and lots of facial animation fixes and updates, plus implemented the facial idols for 2.6.1 pilots. So for narrative, they've chipped away at the narrative needs for 3.0. This is fleshing out the mission stories generated for players and looking at the various storytelling possibilities for the various environments. They have embarked on a significant task of building a database of text needed for Squadron 42 to outline any terminals, the Galactopedia entries, so on and so forth. And they've also written up additional set dresses for levels of Star Marine. This is to add more sort of periodic accuracy to, say, Echo 11, and also recreating a more Massacre-esque appearance for the OP Station Damien. And finally, they're also having weekly conversations with the language guy to dive deeper into the Dejan society, which they said they'll have something to reveal soon. So in QA, they're conducting sweeps on ship self-destruction, missile functionality, and recent changes to the character loadouts, and also early iterations of Item 2.0. So for CIG in Austin, their design department are defining details for Persistent Universe shop archetypes, things like clothing shops, bars, security kiosks, and the hospital. They're also building the pillars of what's to become the first iteration of the PU economy, so they're establishing various details concerning in-game commodity types, trade routes within the Stanton system, and the black and the white markets. In art, they are in full swing of greyboxing the revamped Cutlass, and they've finished the Super Hornet updates, now focused on a new vehicle, but they didn't give it away. Animation are making progress on the usable interactions animations for Squadron 42, things like push-ups, stretches, and leaning on tables for various angles. The female versions of all the work zone animations are completed as well. They've also done a polish pass to make some of these usables acceptable for first person, so roleplay will be coming in a lot more. And finally, they've finished the combat enter and exit speeds. They're now working on the upcoming ships, things like the Prospector and the Buccaneer. For the back-end services, they're hard at work on the new architecture called Diffusion, which is a truly cloud-orientated service to improve high scalability and availability for their service. Anyway, on to Foundry 42 in the UK. Their graphics team worked on various lighting improvements like shadow quality and performance within interiors, and they've started to write systems to achieve true dynamic lighting on planets and space stations. In programming, they obviously worked on the Mega Map, but they've also done work including FPS actor code refactoring, the mission system, I'm not sure what that actor code refactoring is, the mission system and item pickup and put down improvements, and the 3D minimap. For visual effects, they're working on the atmospheric flight model effects such as engine trails, contrails, and entry, and also experimenting with new assets to blow stuff up. QA work Squadron 42 testing and extensively testing weapon balance and changes and Star Marine bugs. Now for art, this is quite exciting. The Reclaimer is deep into production, they say. Dedicated teams are focused on the exterior and interior. The exterior mesh has gone through a cleanup and work has begun on shaders, plus parts such as thrusters are also close to completion. The interior, they've used a modular kit which has been assembled for the habitation areas, and this is the first room nearing completion. Now the Prospector team has been polishing the main LOD geometry for both interior and exterior so they can begin to make it flight ready. That has moved on so fast. Also, work is moving forward on the MISC Razor. They say adapting the concept mesh has resulted in a much sleeker, more technical design, but it still retains the aggressive F1 feel. They're doing a technical sanity pass over Squadron 42 interior sections and working on medium ship components and dressing sets such as tools and assets needed for the ship interiors for Squadron 42. 2.6.1 will include some narrative assets to the Star Marine levels, adding a bit of history and character. They've also done a massive push visually on Schuben, as it's a major part of Squadron 42. Now they're allocating more resources to work on the growing universe. They've got 4 concept artists working out moons, nebulas and space stations. They have begun work on 3 surface outposts and improving the planet's material system to give a better overall sort of read all the way down from space. They've done lots of research and development into how to realistically and dynamically scatter assets like rocks and vegetation, fill the void between stars, and make it feel and change as players travel throughout the systems. In audio, they have reviewed all the ships to ensure that they're the same standard across the board. They've cleaned up some bugs in 2.6.1. Squadron 42 will have the full music logic system in place. They've continued building ambience for some of the locations in the single-player game, plus improvements to Star Marine weapon sounds. UI are planning and scheduling the UI for upcoming features. Animation are making grenade throws more responsive, which is very important. They're improving weapon animations, specifically the reload. They're iterating on feedback for new weapons coming down the pipeline and improving prone locomotion and assisting Austin to get the female mocap implemented. For the design department, Squadron 42 team have been prepping for the incoming new mission system. They've continued work on detailing Stanton. They're moving ship functionality into the new Items 2.0 system in prep for a whole host of new gameplay opportunities, adding a lot more framework to the multi-crew seat actions, which sounds very cool. So Foundry 42 in Frankfurt, they're getting the core fundamentals of Subsumption into the Subsumption's mission system and going through the Crusader missions and rebuilding them using this tool. They're refactoring ship flight controls as well, removing some layers of complexity to make more direct use of the IFCS for the AI perspective. QA have acted upon the feedback from us regarding Star Marine and have been kept busy with the first-person camera system. In cinematics, we saw a little image here of someone's face. They're pushing towards the final look and feel of the conversation system used to talk to NPCs, especially in Squadron 42. And they want them to feel filmic, if that's even a word, but allow for freedom. In the engine department, the work has started on the solar system editor with the top-down view. It's now possible to drag and drop, and they can now see real-time planets and objects moving while zooming in from the galaxy view to grains of dirt on the planets. Ongoing work on procedural object distribution on planets as well, large rocks on moons, vegetation blending with the planet and terrain surface. They've also made improvements to particle distribution and vegetation, which is the sort of wind on a planetary scale. They've made passes on spawning small outposts on planet surfaces and adapting them to the environment, just to make them look more natural, like humans have actually put them there. On the tech art side, artists have been supporting the FPS features and weapons for 2.6 and doing a lot of R&D into improving the foot planting in the game. Now I assume that means making it look more realistic, as if you are actually stepping on the surface you're on. In design, they are prototyping the modular system for satellites, surface outposts and space station interiors. They're almost complete there. The continuing work on the truck stop, refinery and cargo station, first design phase is complete. It's now handed to the environmental team. They're also refactoring usable systems to allow for both players and AI to use the same object at the same time. For example, sitting at a table. The oxygen breathing and stamina system are getting implemented soon. You'll have to carry your own oxygen supply, and all actions are being converted to consume stamina. The takeoff and landing systems in implementation mode, they're unifying the Squadron 42 and PU mechanics. Basically, the air traffic control system allowing for queuing and landing permissions. Small additions have been made to the mercenary and bounty hunter career, but they've not mentioned specifically what. Custom gates are receiving some love as well. These are the gates which will determine what you can and cannot legally bring into a planet, which will also play into smuggling. Visual effects team have recently implemented planetary wind, from blowing winds and dust to rustling leaves and vegetation. Obviously, planetary wind is a lot more difficult than a flat surface environment. Environmental art have 2 new staff, so there are more hands to do what they need to do. They're building some great assets for individual moons, and the first results of planetary text scattering is looking very promising and improving daily. So to finish up with Turbulent on the Spectrum Alpha, for the first version we will see public and private chat, forums, search functionality, member presence, and a decent mobile experience, but after the initial release they'll add more community customization features plus a dedicated mobile application. Anyway, that was the monthly report for this month for January. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Some cool information, especially about the Reclaimer and the Prospector. And the Planet Tech is just coming along so fast. And now they've got 2 new staff there. It should speed up no end. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and I shall see you next time.